we look forward to this weekend, what has kind of stood out for you? What have you anticipated?
Well, seeing everybody, of course, and just remembering what God did in those days, and then to see what God's still doing in the lives of these people. That's what makes it all worthwhile. You know, there's 35, 40 ministers out of this group like yourself. They're serving the Lord. Mission field. Dan Brothers called from Belarus. He's on a Belarus mission over there for took 2 years at least, and maybe longer here in Marietta. So things like that, you know, really make it worthwhile, and what everybody's doing, and it's exciting. So things like that.
Right. What memories? Speaking of remembering, what memories stand out? You know, the different choir tours, the different places.
It's just a multitude of things come to me. In the last 18 years, I've been visiting some of those same places we went, and everything, and to sell the church's music.
Yeah.
And so I've relived a lot of these things as we go along. But you know, I remember pushing a few buses and a singing bus driver from Mississippi. Got on the bus heading to Colorado, and Julie Ingram said, "I've been reading this book." And it was by get the name out. It's the guy who did The Cross and the Switchblade. They just got to Nikki Cruz. Nikki Cruz. She said, "I've been reading this book by Nikki Cruz." She said, "Aren't we going?" He's from Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I said, "Yes." She said, "Aren't we going to Colorado Springs, Colorado?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "We need to get him to come and speak to the choir." I said,
"Well, that's a nice dream."
"Do what?" She said, "Yeah." It says, "I got on our bus. We're praying that God will open the door and He can come and speak to our choir." And I says, "You know what you're asking?" She says, "Yeah, we're praying together about this thing." So I had Jim Roth there posted. I said, "Jim, see if you can find out where this guy, anything about this guy, where he is and everything." And so in about 3 days, Jim came back and said, "I got his office number. You want me to call him?" I said, "Yeah, call him." So he called Nikki Cruz's office in Colorado Springs and talked to his son-in-law who was running his office. And he said, "We got this group coming. We'd like to have Nikki come and speak to us. We're going to be at this hotel on Monday night. We're just going to sing at Colorado Springs, go to this Western dinner showcase, and just to be there singing one of the pre-things, but eat dinner there, and then we're just going back to the hotel." And for him to speak to his hotel, and his son-in-law says, "Well, he's in Washington, D.C. He won't be there." He said, "Well, we got 150 kids praying that Nikki would come speak to us." And make a long story short, we called 3 or 4 times. And then later on, what happened is Nikki Cruz got back. He flew in from Washington to Denver on the Monday afternoon, and first thing he said to his son-in-law, he says, "I'm tired, man. Take me home. I am worn out." He says, "I'm not taking you home."
He said, "An hour south."
He said, I'm taking you to speak to some kids in Colorado Springs." That's where he was headed.
Yeah,
that's where he did. And he said, "No, you're not, I'm going home." He says, "You may whip me later, but today I'm taking you to speak to these kids. They've been praying that you'd come speak to them." He said, "I'm not going." He said, "Yeah, you are. And I'm taking you right now." And so we got to the hotel. Jim Ross came and says, "Nikki Cruz is in the restaurant in there. When you get ready for him, he'll come and speak to the kids." And he came and spoke for an hour and a half. Okay? And then it's like this room. He stood at the door, and there's one way out of the ballroom. We got a ballroom. He says, one way out of the ballroom, that door. He stayed there and talked to every kid, 150 of us, something like that, on that trip, 3 buses and a truck and a van. Ministered to every kid, prayed over some of them, asked them if they knew Jesus, you know, the whole thing. And that'll be on my mind till, I go to heaven, and when I go to heaven, Nikki, I'll tell him about it. But it was one of those, incredible.
Yeah, I think about
praise.
Well, but before that, in '82, in '84, it was the Cubs Dodgers.
Dodgers, right.
I'll tell you the story about that, Doug. I was my freshman year, and every Thursday I'd go to the mailbox and get my sporting news out. And in January that year, and they come out every year, they put the Major League Baseball schedule. So I'm sitting there in the maintenance office of the church waiting for some event to end so I can lock the building up, and I'm just looking to see and looking at the Braves schedule, and I see that around the 16th, 17th, and 18th of July, that the Braves are going to be at Wrigley Field. So that next day I go to Billy Jack and I take him that and I show him that. I said, wouldn't it be fun to go to the game that day? I don't even know if I even suggested the idea of the national anthem or not, but just go to the game. And I think you called Boom Boom Jeffrey on it.
Yeah, started the thing through him. Just made it happen, and then got good friends and went back 2 years later.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that one, that with the Braves, we had TBS and we had WGN. We had 2 worldwide channels on us that day. Both of them were broadcasting the game. You could get both of them in Atlanta.
Yeah, the superstations.
And the two superstations of the world, and
they were playing each other, and we were going.
And we were there.
Just beamed out, singing the national anthem.
Had the big Rising Sun name
and got to,
misspelled.
that's right, Rising S-U-N.
Charles Graham's going to be here this weekend. We're glad to have Charles back. We met him in Buffalo when we were all white, and they asked us to sing in a black park for a black basketball game, and Charles Graham was a song missionary, and we grabbed onto him like he was our life raft. We took him with us, and we sailed through every situation.
Brooklyn, we sing at the Mount Lebanon
Yeah.
Baptist Church,
Yeah.
and I know that made an impact on all of us. The meal that the hospitality that they gave us.
They serve you from the kitchen. They swing the line around and they pass the plate from one to the other, and they feed you. It's pretty impressive.
It was an amazing.
They had a New York hotel shelf in the kitchen there. It was a shelf
And the thing that stands out to me there is they took up an offering for us, and then they passed it around a second time because the pastor wasn't pleased with what was in the offering plate.
They put it in a bucket and bring it down and pour it all in one bucket. And then they'd bring it up there to the preacher, and he'd stir around, let me see how it looks. He said, take this one again. Dr. D.D. Laws.
The testimonies for me was with choir tours and what it did in the life of young people who were, their hearts were being shaped and formed, was to be in this large group of people had one common purpose. Putting in situations that were hard at many times that you didn't know what to do.
Right, exactly.
But when you went through those circumstances, those situations, with fellow brothers and sisters, and with the leadership that we had, it shaped your heart. It shaped my heart for ministry. And I know so many others, those experiences, those mission trips were just, were life altering.
We got so much.
Dude,
We're gonna sing
we
it
brought
right.
that to the South, didn't we?
Right. Two students from Wheaton were in the church there, and they was over there doing something. They started messing around with the guitars, and Gail was on the piano, and they put that thing together. And I don't even know how it happened, but it just happened.
And that thing, churches.
And we tried to find those 2 guys' names a long time after that, because the song had been used around the world, around the country. Al Holly got a hold of it, New Song got a hold of it, and started using it in concerts. And Bailey Mason used it in her concerts, and before long it was everywhere. And I tried to get permission. We didn't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Gail said, we just sat down and it happened. It's the thing, my girls get together with other people when I'm around, and that's all they talk about. Amy Roth and Angie and Leanne have been closest friends all through the years. And when they get together, they start giggling and talking about choir tours and things they did, years ago. Tim does the same thing because he has a lot of friends here that are still close, that he spent all those days with us. It's a unique bond. Tim said it went through rough, tough experiences. It wasn't a choir that went to Six Flags and Disney World. It was a choir that went out where it was hot and sweating and got sweaty kids and hugged them and gave them a snow cone and told them about Jesus. And just made a difference in all of our lives, no doubt about that. And the pastor here was Dr. Chauncey was talking to me about youth choirs. He was in the youth choir when he was a young guy. And he was saying, what's the difference between now and then? And I think the unique thing was that Bruce Edwards and John Crooks and I, we saw our ministries together to the same people. And I didn't take up their time, they didn't take up my time, but we went together. We did it together. And today, we have strong youth ministries maybe than in days gone by, as far as you've got great buildings like this, incredible. We had a corner room with giveaway carpet on it for the youth room, the upper room. But we all were together. We plugged together, we pulled together.
They're going to give us a little standing in the need of prayer. What say, boys?
It's great to be here, but I got to know this group in 1977, I think it was. We kind of figured it out. It was around 1977. I was a student at Southwest Baptist in Bolivar, Missouri, and signed up for a summer missions program to Buffalo, New York. And while I was there, this tour came through, and the 77 crew were extremely talkative and friendly, and we became very... After the tour was over, the summer tour was over, I had made friends with so many, and Steve Leary in particular, who had become a very close friend and a dear friend, and had invited me to Atlanta, to the church here, at the end of the year for the end of the year concert. And I came while in New York, let me back up, while in New York, Billy Jack invited me to sing with the tour, my tribute. And so at the end of the year, I came to Georgia for the concert at the church and sang again. my tribute. And so I've been like a bad penny, turning up ever since then, and it has been an amazing, great journey for me. I do remember this group of young people really in love with the Lord and sharing their faith there.